everybody, it's Nettie Kaye. I would like to introduce you to my newest studio buddy. This is Coco Bean Cheveaux, and he's a coton de tulier. I had a wonderful lady and her daughter give it to me as a gift, and I'm just so excited to have him. He's a wonderful, wonderful dog. He's a coton de tulier, which come from Madagascar, and they're French dogs. There was a little French group of people evidently that had them, and they're very popular in France. So they just came over to the United States in about 1978, I think. Very, very good dog. They don't shed. They don't smell bad. That's what I need. Yeah, he's so good. He's very good. Anyway, we'll be doing a portrait of him probably in the very near future, so stay tuned, and you'll see more of Coco Bean Cheveaux. And the word Cheveaux in French means hair. Yeah, isn't he something? Yeah, he's fantastic. Okay, well, let's get on to our artwork today, and we'll see you later, okay? Okay, Bean? All right, bye-bye. All right, so today what I'd like to do, I've got a class that I've been working on for a couple of years called the Wii DaVinci Academy. And the Wii DaVinci Academy is for kids, but I found that the same principles that I'm teaching the kids really apply to the adult students as well, and they need the same skills. So we're going to begin by really working over the drawing techniques, because the drawing also applies to the painting, and everything that we draw or paint have to do with a modification of the basic shapes that I'm going to teach you in the next few lessons. So the first one I want to talk about is the shape of a sphere. And I'm going to be using a number 6 pencil, and they're very, very soft. This is very soft lead number 6 pencil onto a nice smooth white drawing paper. And so we're going to start by very lightly drawing a circle, okay? And sometimes the faster you do it, the better it works. And it also helps to be right dead center in front of your drawing as well. Okay, so now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lightly put in a middle tone. And when I say middle tone, that means not dark, not light, but somewhere in the middle. Now, anything that we want to draw or paint that looks like a three-dimensional object, we need to start by drawing the object and basing it in with a middle tone and adding a light and a dark. And if you do just that much, it will actually help to make the object appear to be three-dimensional and be what we call plausible, which just means believable. All right. Now, the next thing I'm going to show you is a little tool called a tortillon or a stump. Now, this is just tightly woven paper, and so or rolled up very, very tight, and it is a blending stick in essence. And so I'm going to take that blending stick and just lightly rub it over. Actually, I can press down as much as I want over the marks that I made. Now, this is only paper. It doesn't have extra stuff on it. It's not a pencil. It's not a drawing medium as such. It just blends what you've already laid down. And so I blend this out like this, and I fill this whole circle in with a middle tone value. The word value, it means light, middle, dark, or what value it is. That's when I'm saying that word. It isn't how much it's worth, but how light or dark it is. Okay, so this is a middle tone value, and if I took my time, I'd get it, really, really smooth. I'm not going to worry about that today. Now, you can also start on a middle tone valued paper and just put in the dark and the light, and that's also very effective. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is come back in with that same pencil, and it will work. I have it in my hand, hello. And I'm going to now put in what's called the core shadow. And it is not, there's two different kinds of shadows that I'm going to think about today. One is the core shadow, which is the shadow on or in the object, not cast by the shadow. So this is kind of like a crescent moon that comes down. Now it's not, when you have a rounded object especially, the shadow does not go all the way to the edge of the object. This core shadow does not go all the way to the edge of the object because there is a space that goes back into space that is away from the darkness on the object, and it also is away from the light up here. So I'll show you what that looks like in just a second. So I'm making this dark in a rounded shape, and then again I come back in with my tortillon and I rub in small circles. I will bring that shadow together and make it look as though it belongs as part of the object or as part of the ball. Now this isn't, going to be perfect, everybody, so no laughing, but it's just part of the process. I'm trying to teach you how to do it, not showing off like some artists do. Only want to show you their best at the end of the day, and you didn't know how they did it. I'm not doing that for you. I'm going to show you how to do it, and then you can be as good as you want, all right? I'm not too proud. That's the main thing. When you're on camera, you cannot be so proud as to stop and say, oh, that's not right, I've got to fix it. So, okay, now there it is already starting to look as though it's rounded. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take what's called a kneaded rubber eraser, and this one is a really new one. But these are very, very flexible, and by the time, I toss this one out, it'll look like just a little wad of who knows what. But now I'm going to take out the highlight on this side, and it's just a curved little comma that looks like that. And it's already starting to look very, very, very much, I wouldn't have to do anything else to it. Part of what causes something to look three-dimensional is having things appear to be behind it. So I'm going to take a straight edge, and I'm going to just put this down. This is just a piece of cardboard, cardstock, and I'm going to put a line like this, and this is the horizon line, up to the edge of the sphere, and then I'm going to come out on the other side. And when I do that, I say that to the kids. I go up to that, jump over it, and come out the other side. And there it appears to be sitting on a table, or at least floating around a table. It's not really sitting on the table until I put in the cast shadow. And so again, I remember that we have the light coming from over here, hitting here, and then it casts the shadow down here. Now what I'm going to do from this point is I'm going to think about the shadow. If this were a clock, I would say 6 o'clock down here, and about 8 o'clock over here. And I'm going to make a dark tone that comes out from the bottom of that ball, like this. I'm just going right up to it, and it's darkest right underneath the ball, like this. And then I will begin to move that shadow out. I don't want it to be super sharp on the edges, so I'm going to just take my little tortillon or my blending device, and you guys, you can use Q-tips, you can use all kinds of things, little pieces of paper. Sometimes I roll up or just use a tiny bit of a paper towel or a rag, or bits of a rag, and I will drag that shadow out. Now you see I didn't draw a line there because I don't want it looking like a hole in the table. So I'm working it out, realizing that the center of this part of the shadow right here is darker, and then it sort of diffuses as it goes out into space like this and gets lighter the farther away it is from the object. So there it is right there. There's that cast shadow. And anything that is interesting, I feel, when it comes to realistic art or art that kind of has a little bit of a weight to it, is going to have, the objects are going to have a cast shadow. Otherwise, they just float off into space. Now there are times when I have painted things, especially I'll paint spheres that are supposed to be floating off into space, glass balls or orbs or whatever. I love doing that, but that's just kind of how I do it. So when I want it to sit down on a table. All right. Now I can, if I want to, I can add more things to it. Like I can come up here and make a darker value behind this particular side of the light side of the object. Sometimes I do that just to make the light side appear to be lighter by darkening the background, because we're looking for contrast here. Now, what do we use this particular shape for? A lot of things, everybody. We use it for a lot of fruits, you know, oranges, apples. And I say apples, you know, you're going, well, that's not the shape of an apple. Well, it is sort of. It's also the shape of, you know, people's heads. And when we start out a drawing of a person's head, we'll use this particular shape to begin with often, or an elongated shape in this sort of the same kind of shape, which would be an egg shape, that kind of thing. But the same principles still apply. We have, you know, if this was a person's face, there would still be this dark core shadow right over on this side, a lighter side on this side, and if they were sitting in a strong enough light, there would be a cast shadow from their head onto their shoulders. So now I'll take my little tortillon, which I just love, and having, it's harder if you've got a harder lead, all right? If you've got a really hard lead, it does not blend as easily as this soft, dark lead of a 6B? 6B pencil. It'll just absolutely be smooth as butter if you really work it. It's wonderful. It will blend and blend and blend, and you can get all sorts of different effects. And all the different pencils are for different purposes. This one really is to have something that you can really work into a dark tonal value. Okay. So this is our the beginning of our lesson in drawing and how we create various shapes. I would like just to take a moment and then think about, well, if this were an apple, you know, you would just take it like this and maybe, you know, give it a little bit of a shape around the outside here, and then you just keep in mind where the shadow goes down. There it goes down into this apple core, and then would come up and pick up some light like this on this side right here, maybe, and then maybe a little bit right there. So I can morph it around a little bit, and then I'll take my little tortillon and put it like this, and then I'll put let's see, got to blend this in a little bit. To think about this for a minute. I always like having the item in front of me when I'm doing it. But I'll take also, here's a second type of eraser. This is more of a regular rubber eraser, and I'll take a little stroke of that and put in the stem by just erasing that part. And then we're going to be doing in our next video, I will be telling you a little bit more about cylinders, which is what this part of the apple is a cylinder. The little stick or the stem is a cylinder. So we need all these various different parts in order to make it work. So let's take out a little more highlight at the top of this little lump right here. And you can just see how you can begin to shape things out like that. Take out your extra marks you didn't mean to do. Now I might make a little bit of a longer part. And the apple might not be perfectly round, so you just trim it in a little bit. Like that. Okay? Maybe sit it down, put a little bit of a doodad at the bottom. I'll get that a little straightened out here, so if I kind of give it something to sit on like this. You can see how fast taking a basic sphere and just morphing it just a little bit, and you end up with an apple shape. There you go. All right, you guys, I hope you learned something today, and if you want to see this particular lesson done in paint, you're welcome to go back to one of our earlier videos. Just click on the word videos in the middle of my my little channel, and it will give you a list of all those different videos that we've done in the last few years, and you can find the one that says how to paint a sphere. Almost forgot what we were doing. Next time we meet, we'll work on a cylinder, and that will be a fun one as well. We use cylinders for so many things. Think about it. Necks, arms, trees, elephant trunks, all kinds of things. I hope you learned something, and if you did and you'd like to learn more, don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends. And I'll see you again next time. All right, bye-bye.